you have no rights. It's simply a fiction. It exists only in the minds of men. It has no soul, so it cannot have rights. And so it's all set up that way. Attorneys cannot defend anything in the court except a corporation or a created fiction. It says so in the Bar Act. So it all ties together. If you start getting the picture, is that they can do nothing to you as long as you remain a sovereign person. What happens is we start trying to get their law to tell us what we can do. And we start wanting their law to protect us when they're simply dealing in corporations. Everything is in commerce. There's not one thing that goes on in this country or in the world now for that reason that's not in commerce. So if you understand in commerce, you get into problems and you go into court, the first thing you do is lay the groundwork that everything's in commerce. If everything's in commerce, then what you can do is claim your common law rights in commerce. And that then saves you where you are. In other words, you still are a sovereign. And they cannot take you in there and try you by the rules of the corporate court. You understand that the courts are divided into two parts. One is equity. The other part is common law. The issue in the court is to stay on the common law side of the court. What happens is it's real important about that name. You walk into court and they say, well, defendant rise. You rise up and he says, your name's so-and-so. And the answer is, are you addressing me, Judge? The issue is you've got to establish in the court me. If you don't establish me in the court, you're going, and you give your name, the instant you give that name, you go into the equity side of the court. You're a corporation. You have no rights. You cannot say anything. They don't pay attention to anything because everything then is under law merchants. It is simply a summary judgment being brought into that court for the judge to sign. And you can have 150 lawyers on your side of the court, and they're still going to sign that summary judgment because it is not about anything going into court except the summary judgment. It comes out of the law merchants. You get a little girl downtown writes you a letter. Here, Mr. McLeod, your grass is 3 inches too tall. We drove by your house and your grass is 3 inches too tall. You have 2 days to correct this after getting this. Every day you do that you don't correct it, it's going to cost you $200. Let us know when you have complied with what we told you to do. So, do you feel like at that point you've already been convicted? What do you have? There now, if you don't do it, they simply take that letter into the court and they say to the judge, we want you to sign our summary judgment. We told him and he did not comply, and so now we want the summary judgment, and the judge will tell you the same thing they told you. $200 for every day you didn't do it, and now we're going to charge you court costs. So the issue on all of it is that learn who you are. This all started changing in 33 with the advent of what is called not the War Powers Act, but the Trading with Enemies. And when Roosevelt put that in, he did something right before that, though, that no one really ever talks too much about. And he made a declaration. All property of the United States now belongs to the state and will all be used for the good of the state. So when he did that, then he declared war. Why did he declare war on us? All of the 48 states at that point. He didn't have the jurisdiction to do anything else. So he had to, at that point, declare war, and it was under contracts. We get them the contract into the jurisdiction and then we take them into our courts under the law of merchants, and we take their property. And this is what it was all about. So it went along all right until 1938, and you had the ruling called Erie Railroad versus Tompkins. And it simply said, where there is no contract, there is no case. And so from that point forward, what you got was exactly what the Revolutionary War was following. You got the law merchants. And the essence in all this, it tells you it's a silent contract. It's a gentleman's contract. They have a summary judgment as soon as they tell someone, take it to the court, and the judge is supposed to sign the summary judgment. And you can hear all this argument going back and forth. They don't pay they don't pay attention to any of that. Because why? You're a corporation. You can't speak, so what are you doing in there mouthing about something? The issue, though, is that when it comes out, it's got to come out as a civil action. In other words, the judgment of a judge is a civil action. It comes out of the court back to the common man. At that point, he's allowed to speak. And at that point is whether he can accept or reject their offer of contract. People don't believe that, but it is the way it is. You've got to stand up and say, no, I'm not taking that. The issue is not, because now they're speaking to you as one of the sovereigns. You're simply standing there as a sovereign because now you're allowed to speak and they hear what you say. And I've done this with people, and the people that do it, they walk out with nothing. Why? Because they can't put a contract on you that you don't agree with. The issue in the court is everything going on in that court is a contract being worked. When you give your name, that's a signature on the contract. When you then plead guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere, now that is the consideration of the court. All the rhetoric that goes on is the offer. They're simply offering you what they want to give you. At the end, the judge in his judgment, it goes back to a civil action. And civil is common law. It goes back to that civil action. And the judge simply says that this is what, all this stuff you've heard, this is what we want you to accept. And I had one man who went in and he decided he'd try it. And this guy was going to give him a year in jail and $500 fine. And so he kind of was timid about it.
Good day. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just wanted to do an episode today. Today's episode is going to be about private banking with life insurance. And so I wanted to do a post with a special individual that we do business with at the Vault. His name is Christopher Holt. Many accolades comes with this individual's title. We do our best to do business with people that, we can do long-term business with. So I'm very excited about being able to have Chris join us in this conversation and move forward. So just really excited about that. And we're going to get him to join here. We're going to have a great conversation. Private banking with life insurance. This is one of our experts. So, Chris, you're live.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yes, this is about the work, Alrighty, so we're doing this as special on Facebook. We usually don't have the audience that we have from the Facebook to the YouTube with the Vault, and so we're going to do that today. We're going to start out on Facebook, and then this is going to be downloaded and posted onto the YouTube channel, and as well as the iTunes channel later on. So, Christopher Holt, could you introduce yourself and just, let us know your background? I know a lot of people are interested in the topic, which is private banking with life insurance.
My name is Chris Holt. I've been in the business now for, with the banking side of it, at least for about 10 years now. Experienced in financial services since 1992. So I've been around, came at this a few different ways to finally get to where we are right now.
Okay, awesome. All right, Chris, why are we talking about private banking with life insurance? Could you tell us why that's important for common people to have this type of discussion?
Well, I think for most people, a lot of it is about taxes, being able to save on taxes, also being able to have a structure where they can have a system that can take care of a debt issue. What we realize and what we teach people in our organization is that, those numbers, 40% of all of your dollars that you make go out in form of taxations. That is going to be not just income tax, but that's taxes that you pay on your cable, gas tax, state tax, which is income tax.
Sales tax.
Any other tax you can think of. Taxes are
Sales
huge.
tax. Oh,
Sales
yeah.
tax. Yes, absolutely. All of that is a huge piece of the puzzle that is being just taken automatically from you just by you simply just doing everyday life or making money. After you've done all of that, paid your taxes, paid off your, done the things you go out to eat and do the things that you want to do, excuse me, you're really left with 23% of your total dollars that you have to be able to live on. So what we show people how to do and with our system and what we have put together is to be able to increase the amount of money that they're able to save, pay less in taxes, get rid of the debt and the interest that is going out of your pocket that you're paying to other individuals. And with this system, with it being a system that is not taxable to you, and showing you how you can actually become your own banking system, it's something where every household should have it. I don't care what your situation is.
Facts.
Every household should have it.
And the thing about it is, Chris, is this is nothing new. This is something that's been going on since, the 1500s and when banking was kind of, around with the Rothschilds. Banking has been around. Families have practiced banking. And so this is the form of private banking, and we're talking about it specifically through life insurance and why this is so important. And so, that's very important. But I guess people want to know is how are people implementing these private banking policies, Chris? Because they're like, okay, we know that there's things that exist now. A lot of people don't even have this in their consciousness. So, how is it that these things were created in order to even do this in the first place? Could you tell us that?
Well, these types of programs have been around now for over 200 years. It's not something that's new. You've got companies like JCPenney's, Walmart, Walt Disney was created through these types of policies. There are huge conglomerates that were created simply by a banking policy that they knew how to structure hundreds of years ago. And now these kind of programs now have been modernized to work with just about any family. You don't have to be wealthy to do it these days. Basically, it's something where if you have a representative that you work with that understands the infinite banking concept, you have to be able to structure a life insurance product to where it will fit the system. Because not all insurance products will allow you to do this type of a system. When you think about putting this together with an agent, what will happen a lot of times is that they will not understand that they need to take a hit on the commissions. So they can't structure the policy they would just for somebody. They have to structure it so that the individual can benefit more on the cash side of the policy. So why do we use life insurance? Why couldn't this be done with a bank or say through any other type of investment? Well, life insurance is the only vehicle that allows you to be able to have a umbrella of taxation where the money you put into it and the money you grow within it, as long as you stay within the limitations of that policy, is the only vehicle that will allow you to be able to have that all come out to you tax-free with no limitations as to how many of these policies you can have. There is no other vehicle that will do that.
That's a fact, Chris. We got to say that's a fact.
That is a fact. Absolutely. So if there was, I'm sure there'd be other types of programs out there people be talking about it. But I'm telling you,